Hello and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm the executive producer here, John Bates, and I've got a few pre-show notes for you. First of all, I'd like to thank our $25 tier supporters, Antitonic, Waterflame, Samantha Bates, and Maureen Montee, without whom we wouldn't be able to do much, especially not all the content that we put forward now. I also want to thank all the people that have joined on with us since the, I would say, successful experiment that was Midsummer Night's Dream. If you're interested in that, go check out our YouTube channel, where youtube.com/Sensaku, where we performed the world's first, as far as we're aware, live stream production of a community theater performance of A Midsummer Night's Dream. That sounds like a lot of qualifiers. It's more just because that's the way I talk. Please go enjoy them, give us feedback, let us know if you'd like to see more of that in the future. If you'd like to support us financially, you can do so on our Patreon page at patreon.com/FSFilms. You can also follow us on Twitter at Final Show Films, or follow me personally at John A. Bates for all future updates and live notifications for our live stream. In the meantime, sit back, relax, enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Afterlight Skies. My name is Erin. I am your GM, and with me today is Kat.
Oh man, we're starting with me. All right. I'm Kat. I'm playing Powder and Medical Droid. Rolling Destiny gets us 2 light side.
And William.
Hi, I'm William. I'm playing Helix, HK-53 Assassination Droid. And Rolling Destiny, I get a dark side, because of course I do.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Lux, the Zeltron spy, forcey person thing. And I got us another dark side, so we are dead even.
We do not today have with us John, who usually plays Ares Artinos, our Mandalorian. I almost called him a Mandalorian fighter rogue because we have so many fighter rogues, but he's our Mandalorian shoot things mercenary soldier. We're kind of a low energy game today.
A little bit. Just a touch.
Last time on Afterlight Skies, Things After Things were revealed. Well, there was some conversation into further the information about Powder's brain. There was some discussion with various forces about the ethics of rebellion informants who might not be the best of people. Siolo said goodbye to the party and left behind some interesting,
unfortunate news.
Poorly thought out apologies.
Legit.
But Ares' door has clicked shut. He has decided that he is so angry that he is going to take a very long nap and not speak to anyone for however long it takes for us to finish this episode. If anyone knocks on his door, the response will be something about murdery and angry, and you really don't want to talk to me right now.
All right, then.
Sounds about right.
So, as the two ships speed into the stars, Earth's headed for a planet that is apparently under a very particular form of imperial occupation. Is there anything you guys wanted to do before you got there?
Other than possibly having Lux run as many tests as she can think of.
That's reasonable, but do either of you have specific things you would be testing
right.
for aside from You sure are a droid in there.
So I don't know. You can think about that, Lux. I'll definitely run whatever tests need to you would like run.
Yeah.
Lux is going to. Feel like I had a plan last week.
From a GM perspective, I seem to recall you saying something about finding a way to get
Yes,
the
I know.
items.
That's what I mean. I feel like I had a plan to do that,
You didn't tell me this plan, so I can't help you with it. Sorry.
and I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, get back to me for the moment. I'm still thinking. Um, let's see. Do, 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 do. We're such an exciting game this week.
Best session ever.
Slow, contemplative games are a beneficial thing to have.
Um,
Helix, was there anything you wanted to?
I was about to say. Meanwhile, on the Coyote, Helix kind of, while the ship is in hyperspace and doesn't need a whole lot of attention from him or Jazz at the moment, kind of turns to Jazz. Query: what do our
Yeah.
current holds look like in terms of explosive ordnance?
We got a few, but nothing fancy.
Hmm.
I don't know what we can pick up where we're going, but
Interrogative line of questioning. If we were to, say, arrive on a place of hostile nature, how readily would you be able to salvage equipment from potential targets?
yeah, I can do Jess's character sheet. I can do work with scrap pretty well. What they have would determine what I could fix up or make out of it. Like, I'm not going to be able to turn a blaster into a shield unit, but I can salvage stuff.
Musing. I think there will be quite a bit of equipment to retrieve if everything goes as indicated.
Works for me.
Feigned excitement. I think we should have an excellent time on this planet dealing with patriotism.
Oh, yeah, we can blow that up.
Affirmative. Oh, I know we can, and we probably will.
Yeah. Helix, you would be aware, well, it doesn't get in the way of her work. Jez definitely has some political leanings away from the Empire. She doesn't have too much problem with the underworld or the Huts or any of those groups, but
She'd rather
she's
blow
not
up
a
the
big
Empire
fan.
than work for them.
She's not a big fan of the Empire. Yeah. But she works for them if you want to.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is only if the pay's really good, to be fair. Because working for the Empire as a droid is not the best of prospects,
No.
just because they have this whole backstabbing tendency.
Yep.
Cool. So I have a plan. But first, I need to check. First, Lux needs to check and see.
Hmm.
Lux is gonna go into the armory.
Okay.
Exactly how many grenades do we currently have?
Give me a moment because you guys totally are keeping track of this. I just
I
am
know. I just don't know who. I
gonna
believe
have to
John
go.
has it.
Yeah, John has all that info.
Yeah, I think it's actually in the cargo hold sheet because he and Cody were holding it, but I need to. I'm bad and don't actually know where the party keeps their grenades.
Uh, do, 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 do. $368 is what the
Yes,
Nisari 2 sheet says.
the Nasari 2 sheet should be the accurate one.
All right, I have a question for you.
Yes.
What is the black market value of a frag grenade?
Um, it is about the book value of a frag grenade.
What is the book value of a frag grenade?
If you want, I can pull that one up for you. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, because
Age of the Empire, gear and equipment, weapon characteristics. Frag grenade is about 50 credits.
my book go. Yeah.
All right, I have to do some math here.
How many frags?
300 some. They just chose to buy as many.
So we have about 18,400 credits in black market value of frag grenades. All right.
Yep. And those are something that, while they're not particularly rare, especially with your talents, could be flipped fairly easily most places.
So I'm going to send a message to. I'm going to close the cockpit door,
Hmm.
lock it.
You're doing the privacy shield thing that
Yep.
people do when they make calls in the ship. Cool.
Yep. And I am going to try to get in contact with, because I know we still have his coordinates, or his you know what I mean, hailing frequency, whatever. Um, the Shaper.
Okay.
How many
Because you
grenades do you
have the direct line that Corey did, it takes a few minutes of just a rotating logo before one of those masked individuals that has always kind of
Yeah,
tricked the back of your neck.
it's okay now. I can kill them now if I ever have to. I'm just saying, Luck feels a little more at ease now.
Not realizing your murderous thoughts, presumably. he Hello. Can I
Hello.
take a message?
Um, I have need of a conversation with the Shaper regarding a potential business proposition.
Of course. What category did that come under?
Contracting someone.
Please hold. And it goes back to that flickering thing for a bit. Eventually, he does actually pick up.
Okay.
I understand you're interested in contract services.
Yes,
Not
I am.
what I was expecting from your ship, but what can I do?
So, you contract people for fairly dangerous work, correct?
Regularly, yes.
Wonderful. I have a particular person that I would like hired to do a particular job.
And you need an intermediary so that they're not hired directly by you.
Correct. What is your fee? Would be, hold on, I have to do oops. Would be the sum total that I'm sure you could do wonders with in terms of making a tidy profit off of 168 frag grenades.
What? That seems agreeable, though the details of the contract would vary my asking price.
All I need you to do, is to contact there's a Mandalorian on, or last I knew was on Crossroads. It's my belief that he is still there because we had no way of getting him off the he had no way of getting off short of some potential help that
If
I
we
don't
go
believe
to
that he has
Crossroads,
yet.
I can send a message if you have
Yes.
name some other details.
He's going to need a way. He's going to need a way. He's going to need to take work to get off to get off the station. So hopefully he will be amenable to this. If he's not there, I won't require the services, obviously. But there is what's the name of this planet that we're headed to?
You are headed to
I think I wrote it down.
IR 7, which should be listed in chat if nowhere else.
Yeah.
INR 7.
Einar 7, yes.
Yeah. I'll put it back in chat just in case anyone else needs it.
Einar 7. Um, I need him to go there. There's a particular target that I need taken out. The Mandalorian, I'm sure he can do it.
I want you to make me a cool check and a negotiation check.
Okay.
Both at difficulty 2 because they are opposed rolls.
Sounds good.
His eyes actually. No, they do not. Okay. Of course they don't.
Oh, I just need to check something as far as because I believe there is.
There are probably things you can add to those rolls.
Yeah. Charm, deception, leadership, or negotiation. Then I can roll a influence power check is part of the pool. Okay. So negotiation first. Diff 2. I believe this is how it will work. Yeah. So where's the rolling? Oh, I just have force points too. Sorry, suddenly I don't know suddenly for some reason I don't know my way around a character sheet. Let's see. Oh, fuck it. I'll do my cool roll first because that's the easy
Yeah.
one. This I do not get any bonuses for, so I will spend one of our light side points. Upgrade and boink and. Well, that's a whole lot of advantages.
Yeah, and those are not meaningless, but it is a failure. Though it's an opposed roll, so theoretically he could fail his negotiation check. Theoretically.
And then combat.
In theory.
That's what I like about Star Wars. It's got very like you're more likely to roll well on the things you're good at, but it is always possible to fail.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and my negotiation again. It's difficulty 2.
If I run another Star Wars game, it's gonna
Well,
be
there's
low.
2 successes.
I believe the Force
3
Fire is
advantages, and I want to check to make sure that's just one.
Okay.
I can choose. I can choose to make that success or advantage. I'm going to assume success would be more useful in this case.
Yeah. Okay.
So 3 successes
So,
and 3 advantages.
yeah. To negotiate with him, yeah, that's gonna be enough. With your sort of, you're trying to read him, and it's challenging because it is really obvious that he curates his hollow vid appearance quite a
Right.
bit. Even and if he wasn't kind of unsettling and unusual in person, wherever his reception area is, it's positioned so it's hard to read him. It's hard to know what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not exactly sure if he thinks that you're offering a good rate, if he thinks or anything like that. You know that you're driving a reasonable bargain.
Right.
But you're not entirely sure about that. What you do notice with a whole shit ton of advantages that are technically a critical advantage is when you say Einor 7, he's suspicious. He recognizes that in relation to something that surprises him, makes him maybe more distrustful, maybe just like there's something about the way he recognizes that place that you're like, okay, that was an actual reaction. That was
Okay.
The sort of tightening of the jaw that you don't necessarily know why.
Oh, she'll call it out. She cocks her brows like, do you have business there currently?
Not necessarily, but given information, I hoped that what I understand to be former members of your crew were holding in confidence. I'm surprised you do. But certainly I consent. And for the Mandalorian you're looking for.
Okay. If it helps, you get paid regardless. You get paid the appropriate amount regardless of the success or failure of the mission.
30 of the grenades for the initial contact, regardless of if he's on station, for that information and effort on my part,
It's fair.
and the rest upon getting him going.
My question, we've dealt with each other quite a bit in the past.
Indirectly, but we have.
I'm going to assume our ability to I'm going to assume that our ability to always fulfill the demands of our arrangements means, well, let me put it simply. I would try and find it in high I have other people I could go through a little bit easier if I were there myself. I am not there and cannot get there immediately. So delivery not immediate, is that acceptable?
That is. However, if you who happen to be headed in the direction of Ainur yourself, or heading to any of the major trade posts, imperial or otherwise, I can arrange for a pickup there.
That would be perfectly acceptable. We'll be at we actually, as fate would have it, are going to Ainur.
He assumed as much.
Tell me where I would deliver it, and they will be delivered.
Yeah. He will rattle off it, what sounds like essentially a building code for a shipping yard or something.
Mm-hmm.
It should be easy enough to find with the on-planet navigation.
Wonderful.
My contact there will be expecting you and will be able to take the merchandise off your hands.
Perfect.
All right.
Yep, and I will leave. I will leave that off there. Hey Shaper, you want to send someone to die? I'll pay you real good.
Yeah. And he's just going, okay, how do I convince a mercenary to go somewhere without getting everyone mad at me about misusing the mercenary system?
Because it's a very dangerous world for mercenaries, and if
Yeah,
he dies, it's not necessarily the person who hired him's job.
absolutely. He just
Also,
has
I
to
am still
do
leaving
it.
his 200 frag grenade, so nobody can be that angry with me over it.
By the way, Lux, just because you've actually been on the ship for a while and you would notice this, I want you to make me. This would be a mechanics check, but with 2 boost die, because
Okay.
you have a fair amount of familiarity with the ship.
Mechanics.
They ruined my ship.
Well, they did, but that's not what you're trying to notice. That's visually evident from the outside.
Diff 2.
Yep.
Okay. Good, because there are a lot of things that Lux is good at that Corey was also good at. Mechanics is not one of them.
Oh,
There's
sure.
a success and advantage.
Yeah. Okay, with a success and an advantage, you're kind of digging through some of the system records, just trying to get a handle on, okay, if I need someone to repair the ship, what is going on, who's been on and off my ship,
Right.
stuff like that. You notice that there's something weird about the way the air system connects to Ares' room.
Fuck.
And there's definitely like a supply of stored not necessarily overly poisonous, but
Yeah, like why was somebody trying to suck all the atmosphere out of out of Ares' room at some point?
oh, that's
That's
not fair.
weird.
It was just filling it with knockout gas.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But yeah, that is something that you would notice, and that
That's
is
real
exactly
weird.
Ares' room specifically.
That's real weird, but potentially useful down the line, so I'm gonna keep it there.
Yeah,
And then I'm gonna go find powder.
because everyone who knows about this leaves the ship.
I imagine at some point when the ship inevitably gets passed off to somebody else, like after or if we sell
Yeah.
her, somebody's gonna actually be like some scrappy rebellion group is gonna find it and actually find a use for it.
I feel like Helix and Jez buy the ship off of you at the end, and then they just use it to gas people.
I like the idea
Very
that
much a
of it, like the final scene is like somebody buying the ship and stepping on, like Mel from that episode of Out of Gas where he's first exploring the ship, walks into the room and just somehow manages to accidentally gas himself and knock himself out.
So this makes no sense from like a timeline or a plot perspective, but that was Kane and Jarrus.
I do
All
not
right,
understand that reference.
Star Wars. Don't worry.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, I go and find.
Power's probably in the med bay at this
Okay.
point.
Hey, hon, how you doing?
I am fine.
Sweet. Um, I got a question for you.
Yes.
If, let's say hypothetically, I needed help moving a large quantity of something off of the ship without, well, it's just you, me, and Ares, so Ares noticing. Could you help me out with that? Hypothetically.
If it is not something heavy.
I mean, it's kind of heavy. We can operate the equipment.
You do have lift carts.
Yeah, hypothetically.
What would you be moving?
Well, that takes it out of the hypotheticals. Um, but well, hypothetically, we would be moving 168 frag grenades off the ship.
That would make Ares very upset.
We still have 200. I legitimately don't think he'll ever notice. And if he does,
You sound like Ares doesn't count the frag grenades.
Yeah, Powder, you would know that Praz more than Ares, but Ares also occasionally goes and counts every single one like a precious child that will someday murder someone.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. This is what happens when you're not here.
I mean, so two things. One, he'll probably not notice. And two, if he does, there's still 200 there. And this is ultimately in order to get him what he wants. So he can thank me later.
As long as you can come up with an acceptable excuse as to why they are gone.
Oh, it'll all be on me. Don't worry. It's not going to be on you at all.
Then of course I will help. It is what I
Awesome.
am here to do.
So it's no longer hypothetical. As soon as we get on 9 or 7, we need to get these things off ship because they're being used as barter to get the person who I said was on 9 or 7 on 9 or 7.
Interesting.
I'm be frank. Okay, yes, we have one person. We have one person who's really really good at killing things right now. That person is also an absolute sociopath who has no loyalty to any of us whatsoever. And
You mean
for a
on this ship, correct?
no, I mean off the ship. Ares is a Mandalorian. Ares has a sense of honor. Helix will kill us if he gets bored.
You are not wrong. And Helix is very good at his job.
Yep. So, based on what we're gonna need to do going forward, it would be a severe asset to have Ares on this ship on a regular basis until we can get someone more badass at the very least. And whatever I think of him otherwise, he is fairly badass, so that is a somewhat high bar. The easiest way to do that is to get him his goddamn dead Mandalorian. Unfortunately, that was not something that was going to happen on Crossroads, and he was going to leave the ship otherwise. So, here we are.
Understood.
See, random person who isn't here. I always have a plan, and it always works. It doesn't always work. No. I think it's legitimately always worked up to this point in game.
Mhm.
I am trying really hard to figure out how the Aries, the Sen Lux, no, I'm staying and you're going thing. Is it working?
Um, it was a long game. Ultimately, we got what we wanted, and everybody got out alive. Everybody who was crucial to the whole thing. Sure, the plan had a few trips along the way, but you cannot deny that was successful in the end.
It was. Was that your plan?
To work out exactly the way. Actually, yes, going improvising along the way. Yes, at each stage, the plan was okay. We're gonna do this one. Oh shit! Area Sen just got fucked up. Fine, take me. I have a better chance of survival than the Jedi does. And look what happened.
Okay. So after you're done arguing
Anyway,
with the universe about
yes.
whether or not your plans work,
Yep. So
um,
let's head to IR 7.
I like to
Lux-
think that Lux just has conversations with Sen in her head, just her mental image of Sen.
oh yeah, no, this is canon. Uh, Lux and Sen have these psychic conversations about the rest of the group, and also they have these conversations with each other when one of them is not present. They're not actual conversations, but you know,
Yep.
it's the thing that's happening in the sidebar at the beginning of the issues. There's a little comic, like gag comic page of Sen and Lux discussing the issue to come. But
Oh god. Zen and Lux are Spider-Man and Deadpool.
I was thinking Squirrel Girl, but okay.
There's always in the Spider-Man Deadpool comic.
Mhm.
There's always that splash page is always the two of them discussing what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, I believe it was Great Lakes Avengers. Squirrel Girl would
Yep.
show up and talk about the plot to the audience.
Anyway,
Yeah, I need to read more of those because both of those are good things. Anyway, last call for things to happen before we arrive on Einor 7. Going once, going twice. Okay, we're there. Um, you both arrive about the same time. for the sake of convenience. Surprisingly, when you pull out of hyperspace, probably a little ways away from the planet, just because you don't necessarily know what's going to be there. There's not a blockade. You don't spot any Star Destroyers, at least within the orbit of the planet. Nothing that. No current traffic this very instant, but nothing to indicate traffic is being blocked in any capacity.
Okay. Cool. Just a second.
You can choose. Both the ships can get in contact with each other at this point because you're at a
Yeah.
hyperspace. You
Find a
can
place to
wait. You can dock.
dock.
Whatever you want to do.
Sorry,
will
I'm
say-
checking stream health, which is currently OBS is flashing red and orange at me currently. So is the video look jerky to any? Can someone check Twitch? Does the video look jerky
Yeah.
to anybody else?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
jerky.
it seems like it is having some issues.
The audio sounds fine though, from what I can tell.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason that's not giving me. I wonder if my net is having concerns.
We're gonna go to break, guys.
It sounds like a plan.
Yep.
We'll be back. And we're back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Afterlight Skies. As our crew descends onto the planet of Ainor 7, um, a world in the same or a small mining world in the same orbit as one of their allies, their previous allies, home colony.
Yep.
You find reasonable docking. From above, you can tell the planet is rather sparsely populated. Large, rocky cliffs have clear mining entrances blown into them, with the general, like, nominal safety structures that such things are provided with, as well as the associated carts. Um, the shipping lots that you dock can seem mostly to be that for shipping things on and off planet. There is a small sort of town and town center just a little ways off from both the mines and the shipping yard. Other than that, it's a relatively small world. And while there is some nature that seems to be used primarily for growing crops and raising animals, it's not necessarily large enough to support a second city or
Okay.
even like a full city. It's more of a mining town.
Got it. Yeah. Find a place to, or find a.
Ares gets out of his coma long enough to land the ship.
Yep.
And then goes right back into his rage coma.
Okay. Works for me. You just rage it off, buddy. We'll find him.
You better.
William's voice sounds more like John's than mine, so we're just gonna say that's all he says.
That's
Yeah.
canon.
I mean, it is canon pending the person who actually plays the character telling me it's not.
Right.
So I feel like those words fit well enough with Ares' character that that's not likely.
Yep. So yeah, I will send a quick space text to the shaper, let him know we're on Einor.
For the purposes of lore, I'll correct you and remind you that space texting is not a thing.
I
But I'm
know,
going to let you do it in this instance anyway.
but unencoded message
Yeah.
across hyperspace. Space text. I'm the worst. I know.
Note to self: add
Star Wars operates on like dial-up technology.
Yep. I send a space Morse code message.
You send a space telegram.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Pony
A space-
Express.
a space fax.
Hyper Pony Express. But yeah. So as soon as there's somebody for me to deliver stuff to, I will deliver said
Yeah.
stuff.
So he gave you the information on
Yes.
the
Oh,
so,
right. So got
no,
it.
totally fine. I was just trying to figure out what you wanted out of that conversation. You let him know you're here if you want to, but he
Okay.
gave you a drop-off point and said that they
Okay, sorry. That was my lack of understanding of that.
sorry. Yeah. It seems to be within this same large shipping lot
Okay.
you have.
Do I
Have an address.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go there. I'm going to head there first
Okay.
because I want to see what kind of security this place has, how conspicuous it's going to be just carried a large, uh, 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 um, A lift equipment set with crates marked "Do not jostle."
Roll me a vigilance check as you're sort of headed around.
Okay.
Contains explosives.
That may be something that I can boost. We will see here. Nope, doesn't help with those. Okay. Vigilance difficulty 2.
Yep.
Okay. Not my best roll, but let's see how this goes. Make sure I don't have the boost die in there. Okay.
I mean, that'll work.
That'll do the trick.
Yeah.
It's a triumph of success and a threat.
Yeah. The triumph of success and a threat. The sort of first thing you notice as you're milling around that way is at every intersection of the shipyard, because it's essentially rows. It's not fancy. It doesn't have any sort of custom built storage. It's mostly cargo ships, and even then, mostly standardized cargo ships. At each of the sort of major intersections of, like, here's a set of ships, here's a place people walk.
Mm-hmm.
There are set up sort of in the center of those intersections what seem to be some sort of wired poles with a blue circle on top of them. Some sort of street light if it wasn't so oddly positioned. Poles each seem to be connected to each other, running in cables down the streets. Especially every like mining and outposty place has their own sort of weird sets of tech that they've cobbled together. But this
Mm-hmm.
looks new, and it's not something you've encountered at one of these places before.
Okay.
You wander down about the 5-10 blocks. You don't necessarily see anyone else. But then again, it is the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
People are probably working.
Right.
And right as you're sort of like rounding the intersection to the where you know the Shaper's complex is, like, there's this slight smell of blood in the air. It smells old, not like fresh. But you've been around enough times to know what that smells like.
Okay. Can I try and... It's not new. Can I... Does this seem to be coming from anywhere in particular, or...
Yeah, you
Like...
probably stopped or at least like
Yeah.
redirected when you started to smell it, but it's definitely coming from that same block you have coordinates to.
Right.
It's hard to know if it's the same building at this distance. But you can follow it with a triumph easily enough.
Okay. Be glad that I brought my shit with me and start heading that way. Once I get close to the location in question, I am going to commit my force point to sense all living things within short range of myself.
Okay. Within short range.
Yeah. Once I get close enough to the building.
Okay.
I want to see what might be alive inside before I step through the door.
You don't sense anything living beyond the door. As you're sort of walking up and focusing on this, you can sense about 2 buildings over someone on the 2nd floor. Um, but that's about as far as your short range extends.
Okay. And I'm clear this is the building that I was supposed to go
Oh, yeah.
to.
This is the correct address.
God damn it.
I don't think that can sense droids because they're not alive.
No, no. Droids do not register, so there may be droids inside. Does the door look... Does front door or the like look locked, ajar,
It's closed. It doesn't seem to
kicked
be
in? Okay.
particularly locked. It's just one of those sort of pull up from the bottom garage doors.
Okay. So I put gloves on. And I open the door.
All right. Walking in, the smell of, oh yeah, there's dead things in here definitely hits you.
God damn it.
The warehouse, it is a warehouse. That
Uh-huh.
was pretty evident from the outside. It is fairly large and almost entirely cleaned out. There's only a few crates left in the back. And in the center of the room, slightly rotted, maybe 4 or 5 days old, um, arranged in the shape of like a cartoon heart, are dismembered bits of what was clearly a few people.
God damn it, Aki. I have so many questions right now. Ah.
As you think of those questions, I want to transition back to the other two for a minute.
Yep. Yep.
So, Helix, you've arrived at Powder. Ditto. Um, Lux is going out on some variety of recon or other. What are you two up to?
So Helix kind of prepares to depart the coyote, but first kind of looks over. Notation. Current mission parameters involve creating trouble for the Imperial occupancy of this planet. I'm sure you might be able to find some ways to have some fun, so long as it doesn't track back to our ship.
Okay. I'll see what I can do. Jizzle sort of nod and, you know my comms? I won't be more than an hour out if you need me. Let me know if you're gonna need me quicker than that.
Affirmative reminder. Excellent, but remember to bring the shotgun.
Yeah. And she will take the shotgun. Which, because your NPCs upgrade with you, she actually can use reasonably well.
If you're an assassin droid and you have a person who works with you regularly, who you value continuing to be alive, teaching them how to use a weapon seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Hirelings get XP roughly, like they're NPCs, but based on the characters that they are hanging around with.
Because she's hanging around Helix, she learned how to kill people.
Yep. She knows how to fix things. She has some specialty in droid repair and stabilizing people. She has a few dots in medicine now. And mostly she learned guns. Mostly she can actually use guns now. Aside from the pistol her class starts with. Yeah. Okay. Powder.
Honestly, Powder probably just waiting for Lux to be like, okay, I'm ready for you. Because there's not a whole lot that Powder can do at the moment other than like making sure the ship is like clean, I guess.
Sure. That's what you want to do.
Yep.
All right. Then we are going to move back to Lux.
Okay. I mean, it just so happens that Lux is going to walk out, close the door. Is there any way to lock the door from outside?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Like, typically you'd use a padlock to secure it, but you can lock it
Okay.
loosely.
Cool. And I'm heading back to the Nasari.
Okay.
And I'm assuming we've got comms for Helix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a channel.
Yeah. So on the way, Helix, can you make your way over our ship? We've got a situation, and I think we're gonna need all of us for this.
Sarcastic query. When do we ever not have a situation?
I don't have a response to that because you're actually right.
Affirmative. Of course I am.
So yeah, get on the ship. Powder.
Powder comes out, probably from like the kitchen or something. Yes.
I think I may need you to do. I mean, autopsy may not be the right word because I think it's probably pretty obvious how they died, but there still may be some things to learn that way. A little forensic medical examining.
Okay.
Um,
Query.
yeah.
Only been on this
Ah!
planet. Query. Only been on this planet for a few hours and you've already found dead bodies. What do you get up to?
You know, don't do that.
Negative. No.
Yeah, we're gonna just. It's this way. Come on, you'll see what I mean. I'm pretty sure. Well, before we head out into the open, so this planet, I think was express. I expressed this before. Is currently under the dominion of Taurus. You remember that crazy batshit general when we
Yes.
yeah that bitch.
Should we lock Ares in his quarters, lest he leave?
We can do that.
I've
Technically.
technically done it before.
Technically, yes.
Query. Does he have a plasma torch anywhere in that room?
I do not believe
Got
so.
a vibro axe.
Out of character,
That'll cut through shit.
do I remember? Was I privy to Corey putting in the knockout gas?
No.
No.
Okay.
The people who knew about that were Corey had rerun, and it was reasonable that Lux would run across it, but Powder, you were around during its installation. Anything you would have noticed, you chalked up to general repairs.
Okay, that's I couldn't remember. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry,
fine.
we can roll for it.
We
Yeah,
can
no worries.
lock. I tell you what. We won't
No worries, I
lock
just
him in
didn't
the
remember.
room. We will just lock we will lock the ship's door. Outer hull door. That way, he has more room to roam around. He'll get his exercise.
Okay, but if we come back and he is missing, it is your fault. And Powder will start to walk out.
He better not be for all the fucking trouble I'm going through trying to get him to stay here.
Loose sleep. I like that one.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so the one of the contexts that I was mean for the delivery. Um, yeah, it looks like Psycho got to him.
Query for the dungeon master, actually.
Yep.
Game master. Helix's mission was basically like assist them, but the overarching mission that he was told was basically reconnaissance and cause problems for the Empire.
I think that's what you ended up getting. The thing that the rebellion specifically hired you to do is we are sending one of our agents, specifically Lux, in sort of to target a set of people and to disrupt things more generally. She'll have the details of the mission because it's quickly evolving and she knows what the parameters are.
Okay.
Basically, like, we don't really know the details of what we're sending you into, so we're sending you with someone that knows what we want out of it.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah. So in that particular case, then, to Lux, query. What is our first task now that you have discovered your bodies and the source of their creation?
Determine if so. I was heading to talk to this person to deliver payment on something. I need to know if this is in relation to if she's just that good, which I feel like is unlikely, but possible, or if there's something else going on here. Either way, it's definitely something that we're gonna need to know going forward. If she already knows we're here, or if she just randomly dismembers people who annoy her for some reason or another. I mean, I know she does that, but if random people on this planet have annoyed her. So yeah, we need to figure out exactly what happened there.
Statement. You have a habit of over-explaining yourself.
Eh, you know, you have to explain yourself really only once because you only get one chance to under-explain in this situation. But you have to explain yourself to an imperial officer enough times, superior enough times, you sort of develop a habit of, yeah. Anyway, let's go.
Chung, chung.
I would say act natural, but the way you naturally act is actually going to be legitimately more suspicious.
Sarcastic remark. I don't know what you mean. I am a protocol droid.
I mean, even that being the case, even that being funny, I will point out there are more than one murderous protocol droid in the galaxy.
Notation. I am fluent in over 5,467 languages, including the binary language of moisture vaporators.
Let's go.
Weird Star Wars facts as you guys head along. Everything in Star Wars talks. It's never acknowledged, but it's mentioned enough times.
Yep.
Yeah, like when C3PO mentioned that moisture vaporators have a binary language, I was like, do they talk to people often? How often does a moisture vaporator need to communicate?
Also,
the ships talk, the moisture vaporators talk, everything talks.
Yep.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh no, that's fine. I was gonna say also, how sad of a life do you have if you are a sentient moisture
Well, it's not really clear whether or not everything that can communicate is
That's
sentient.
true. That's true. That's true.
Like
There's,
I imagine it could have a voice just for giving like diagnostic readouts. Like
yeah, there's a fair amount of implication that a lot of it is like I can talk to my phone,
Yeah.
but Siri is not
Siri is
technically
not
a sentient.
sentient. Yeah.
See, and I'm just getting Red Dwarf flashbacks to Toasty the Toaster.
Yeah, toasters try and take over the universe in a lot of universes.
Yeah.
But yes. So you eventually arrive back. You guys would also notice if Lux points them out, the little things in the center of each towers with a blue
Yep.
bulb on top in the center of each intersection for pedestrians.
That's something you've ever
Again,
seen, Helix?
sorry, what was the thing?
in sort of so there's the sort of blocks of ships and then there's pedestrian walkways in each of the cross sections intersections of the walkways, which are also sort of speederways, whatever. There is a sort of single large stick with a blue bulb on top. They seem to be some sort of towers. They've all got wires running from one to the next.
Can I tell what they might be? Whether they're just
Sure.
like power relays or signal relays or
Mechanics difficulty 3.
I mean, I'm assuming surveillance devices of some sort.
probably. Let's see. I'm not the best at mechanics. In fact, I have no dice. I have no skill ranks in mechanics because I'm a bounty hunter. I'm a droid. Mechanics. Ah, no.
You're not sure.
Imperial tech.
You look newer than a lot of what else is here, but doesn't strike you as something you've seen before. Then again, like I said with Lux, most of these colonies have some of their own, like, weird. We use this because it's convenient for this atmosphere or whatever, that especially like small farming and mining communities tend to have weirdnesses like that.
Observation. Relatively up-to-date and new technology based on wear and tear compared to other objects in the region, but unknown.
I'm viewing them with suspicion until we have reason until we have definitive information otherwise.
Sarcastic remark. You do that with everything, though.
I legitimately do not. However, when we go to a planet controlled by crazy general lady of the Empire, and there is new strange technology here that looks new. I don't know, I feel like paranoia kind of fits. Anyways,
Observation.
The
You
droids sense
never
their
listen.
go, oh hey, blood.
yeah. Aha! We've reached, yep, yep,
Your
was-
sensory things also do that, but the droids have little UI for it.
right.
The thing that he was going to say before that popped up was observation. You clearly do not ever listen to the prefixes of my sentences, do you?
I mean, yes, but they kind of. Anyways, blood, let's go.
Alright, you can easily enough unlock the sort of nominally locked
Yep.
shed and head in. For the two who are arriving for the first time, it's a sort of very much emptied out warehouse. If you've ever seen one where they've gotten rid of all the stuff in it and there's just some of the skeleton of storage structures. But in the sort of center of it, dismembered bits of people in heart shape. Not dismembered hearts, just in the shape of a cartoon heart.
Okay.
Made out of, like, limbs and tails and torsos.
So, Powder, can you? eh, I feel like how they died is probably pretty obvious, but it might not be.
Okay. Can I
Sure.
do?
Medicine check.
Yeah.
Difficult to do. I'll give you a boost die even.
Sweet.
Because you've got ideal circumstances in that this is not time restricted.
Difficulty 2 on boost die. There we go. 3 successes and an advantage.
So with the advantage, you notice that this is not necessarily something you think of when you see bodies, but there's no clothing on these bodies. So whatever it was presumably removed as the like bits were being arranged or before that. With 3 successes, you notice first there is the evidence of recent stun burns on a few of the arms and torsos. The cuts that dismember these people were clearly made at least partially while the creatures were still alive. The exact cause of death is difficult to determine with anything that's dismembered. Like enough time in a lab, you could obviously like check for toxicity. But best initial guess is if you're cutting off someone's torso, a lot of things stop working.
Yeah. Can I tell how old these bodies are?
Yeah, that's pretty easy. About 4 to 5 days. It's in the dating region where it's not like, okay, has rigor mortis set in. It's like, how decomposed is this given the climate?
Yeah. Okay. Did all of them seem to have been alive when parts were removed?
Well, probably. Like, what's a little hard to tell about it is it's definitely not. You definitely don't have all of the pieces of any of these.
Okay.
Well, there's notably no heads, but aside from that, there's definitely missing pieces.
Can I tell how many pieces go together?
Roughly, yeah. You can put together relatively about 3 people with
Most
some
of the
missing.
bodies.
Sorry, I lost track. The trick is, it seems like most of the wounds at least were started before the person was dead, but that makes it a lot more challenging to be like, okay, this was made post death. That's, you can see that in sort of the blood spatter or in the way it's cauterized.
Okay.
But yeah, they were definitely dismembered in a more vivisectiony way.
Can I tell what was used to dissect them?
With 3 successes, your best guess is probably some variety of surgical tools.
Okay.
Or other purpose-built equipment.
Okay. So Powder will finish doing all of the testing and checking and turn to Lux. They are at least a few days old.
Mm-hmm.
There are at least 3 of them. What else would you like to know?
I'm assuming that it took us less than 3 days to get here. Or at least it was less than 3 days.
Crossroads or from contacting the Shaper?
From contacting the Shaper.
Oh, yeah. It was about a day and a half.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with us explicitly, at least.
Yeah. So they were already dead. Okay.
I need. Okay. That's good news. I mean, it's not great news, but it's good news. Um, it still means I need to have a tricky conversation with somebody. Just get me everything you can about who who they are, races, etc. Um, that's gonna help. That's gonna help the person I need to talk to identify them, just in case their contact isn't among these people. Um, Alex, I know investigating isn't necessarily your primary thing, but I know that it's something that you kind of have to do when you're killing things. Can you give me a hand in trying to look around and figure out why this might have happened? I mean, I realize there's not a lot to go off of here, but
Affirmative. I can certainly assist you in looking around to see why the supposed psychotic man-child, woman-child of the Empire would be willing to dismember and kill for presumably her own amusement.
I mean, my guess at this point is simply it was it was a crime person um operating on on a planet that was her planet, but if it's something more than that, we need to know. So yeah, let's see what we can find. So I'm going to start checking out, see what's in the crates that were left, half expecting it to be another gift. See if there's any records, anything like that.
Okay. So let's see. What's a good role to make this?
Yeah.
Aries, your character sheet is not in use by you right now, so you're going to be my.
With my initial 3 successes, would I be able to tell what race these bodies were?
Race, gender identity, etc.,
You can
etc.
make me. Well, gender identity is.
I mean, yeah, sorry, that was yeah.
No, it's I'm being snarky.
No,
That's
no,
not fair.
but you're also right.
Yeah,
Like,
Make
race,
me a
race,
xenology
sex.
difficulty.
Yes.
You can make me a difficulty to xenology.
okay. 2 advantage.
One of them's definitely human. The other, the others you're not necessarily able to identify offhand, given the damage.
Okay.
But humanoid, all three have a generally humanoid structure.
All right. I will relay that.
Let's see. Is there any particular role you'd like to make your investigations, either of you?
I mean, I'm personally a fan of perception.
No.
I don't think I can make an argument for space piloting because that would be one of my better roles. But you know,
If you can find a role to make for space piloting, I might be impressed enough to let you use space piloting. You know what? I'll just tell you the results of your space piloting check you didn't make. This thing doesn't fly.
Yeah, these bodies don't fly.
Is
You
not
say
flyable.
this warehouse and these bodies are not space worthy.
Yep.
I am going to go with, you know what? I mean, it's the same either way. But
I mean,
actually, knowing what I know of our favorite general,
Happy.
admiral,
Yeah.
admiral or general?
I think she's a vice admiral.
Okay, vice admiral. You told me at some point, and I probably have it written down somewhere, but it's not
It's
on.
definitely in the information I sent you via Slack.
Yes, it's
But
not.
then
It's
again,
not on the sheet, the NPC sheet, so I wasn't
here's the
sure.
secret: Star Wars titles are meaningless.
That's true.
Um, she's a vice admiral, but she is also outside of the official structure, making her title
Yes.
particularly meaningless among the meaningless titles.
Yep. All right. Well, the military leader, knowing them and knowing her and her tactics as well as I do,
Mm-hmm.
would warfare
Yeah, sure.
apply?
Warfare would work.
and I mean,
Awesome.
since I'm approaching this from just a general murder and criminal housing area and places where criminal activities would be undergone, can I go for streetwise?
Yeah, Streetwise was definitely one of the ones that I thought made a lot of sense.
Diff 2, Diff 3.
Difficulty 2 for both of
Okay.
those. More successes will reveal more.
Two
Um,
successes and two advantages.
okay.
2 successes.
So we're going to start with Helix. Helix, you don't necessarily know the details of this, but murder is murder. Dismemberment is dismemberment. Criminal investigations of locations are criminal investigations of locations. So your first thought is okay, it seems like this place was cleared out. What might have been here? You do find some residue that looks like it would have been weapons or explosive substances potentially being stored here for extended periods. No actual, the crates that are in the back are empty. Nothing currently here, but enough like sort of this smells like gunpowder or residue of
Blaster
okay, this
residue.
definitely was a place where blasters were kept safely charged.
I find the very clean dust outline of a pyramid shaped battery pack.
That is something you can infer that this was probably some variety of smuggling operation. The most obvious thing being weapons, but that doesn't mean there wasn't also other stuff here. It's a fairly large warehouse. It's just weapons are fairly easy to spot compared to something like contraband fruits,
Yeah.
which you would have no way of determining if they were here at this point.
I mean, any accidental discharge. Blaster rifles aren't the loudest things on the planet, but they're not the quietest. But they do leave residue everywhere.
Yep,
I
essentially
mean,
that.
you fuck
That
up a
lets
crate of
you.
contraband fruit and you're gonna have juice stains everywhere.
Yes, but juice is a lot easier to clear than the scorch marks left behind by laser bolts.
You're not wrong.
The Melu-run smuggling business is not the issue here. And everyone needs to watch Star Wars Rebels.
It's actually the blue milk smuggling.
Oh. Yeah. That could be something you infer, but it's not necessarily easy to determine whether or not those things are here right now. So those are the main things you find. And you're sort of now going to look, okay, maybe they had some records that are still here. Maybe there's like, so you're headed towards the small office space off to the side of the warehouse. Which, Lux, your thought is, if she's got more of a message, it's going to be the place people go to look for answers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's crazy, but in a fairly sociable way.
Right.
Um,
It is very functional.
Yeah.
And
Um,
and yes.
and so you head into this sort of side, probably like a management office or something off of the main warehouse. And yeah, there's more of a message here. Um,
Of course there is.
Three heads are sort of just hanging out on top of chairs around this room, staked in with impalement and um sort of in what is almost certainly blood, is sort of written in the text language of basic, on the wall, which is weird. Most people in Star Wars do not write by hand, because there's no paper. uh there's just a big sign saying "Death to traitors, long live the Emperor," um and a little cartoon drawing of the Emperor as he presents himself, which, Lux, you'd know from having worked in government, really hasn't changed since the late days of the Republic.
Welp.
There's also a computer in here that doesn't seem particularly touched, but
Lamentation. Ah, the days when art actually went into murder. I do miss them.
Right. All right. So I know you do. Um, would you mind? Would you mind transporting this the this particular artistic installation somewhere else, while I check out the computer? I would do so, but you don't leave those skin oils that do that are wonderful for fingerprints.
Query. Do you have anywhere you want me to bring these bodies and bloodstains?
Just out of this room would be fine.
Sarcastic query. Would out of existence be better?
Not quite yet. We need to get. Do me a favor, either you or Powder. Do either of you two have? Well, never. Yeah, you can. Just memorize the features, and so that way we can have an photo accurate description of them for when I need to have my conversation. And then, as long as it doesn't attract more people to this building, whatever you want to do with them is fine, Helix.
all right. So eventually, Helix removes the head so that Lux can concentrate on the computer.
I mean, the dripping sound gets annoying after a while.
Also, dead eyes have a way of looking at you.
Yeah, that too.
Helix just like picks up all three heads in a bundle, sort of holds them out at a distance so that he can actually like take visual record of them and like store it in his memory bank, and then just takes them over to a pile and just disruptor rifle disintegrates them.
Okay. Fair enough.
So yeah.
Lux. Computers, I assume.
Uh-huh.
Computers, difficulty 3. Remove one setback die for encryption, because they are technically encrypted.
So wait, there is a setback die?
There
Or
is a setback die, though I believe you can remove
I
it.
can remove it, correct. Okay.
Sorry, I said that in a very confusing way.
It's all good. Why do I not see? There's computers. My iPass is like charm, coercion, cool, coordination. Wait a minute. F3. Yeah, what the hell? I'll use that leather light side point. This could be valuable
Save
information.
some light side for the rest of us.
Four successes and a threat.
Okay. So, with 4 successes and a threat, you managed to get into the computer. It doesn't seem like Aki or whatever Imperial authorities were here actually bothered with the computers. They seem basically untouched. They are encrypted, so it's entirely possible that they were essentially too encrypted to be bothered with.
Right.
And all of the merchandise was removed, so that may have been part of their concern.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to some logs that confirm Helix's suspicions that, yeah, this place was being used for smuggling of things, including weapons, including commercial goods, and that essentially most of the stuff was being shipped out. There wasn't really anything being shipped in. This was presumably like a waypoint or storage house.
Go figure.
Matches with what you were going to use it for.
Yep.
You do find a somewhat interesting log kind of hidden in essentially the personnel files. The log entries are not necessarily dated, but they are numbered. Reading through them, let me see if I can remove the parts that you didn't find or don't find because they're not here. There we go. And essentially, here are the 2 most recent log entries you find.
Okay. Oh, motherfucker.
Oh, sorry. But as that's happening, Powder, what are you up to?
Probably cleaning blood.
Okay.
Just trying to stay out of the way.
All right, so you are cleaning up the space.
Yeah.
They're no longer in a heart configuration.
Oh yeah, no. They became piles of bodies. This one is this person. This one is this person. This one is this person.
Yep.
Piles of pieces.
Helix vaporizes the heads.
If the bodies are no longer needed, Helix can vaporize those as well.
Query, are the bodies still needed?
No.
I vaporize the bodies.
All right. And then I will clean the walls. Try and clean up the blood as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, it takes some time, but you have the resources to clean blood.
Exactly.
And
I've got the time.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hey, Powder,
Yes.
you know that information that your mechanic or whoever. Wait, is that ever passed along?
Sai gave you a
That's
part
right.
of
So I
that.
gave
Yeah.
it to me.
You don't know if Powder knows, but Sai had some of those records and gave you them.
So you know when you guys were at wherever it was that you were at that was a slave planet
Yes.
or something? Um, apparently that mechanic of yours grabbed a hard drive. Did you know anything about that whole matter?
No.
Um,
I don't think so. Do I?
No, I
so
don't think Powder was brought in on it.
I think what Powder was told was what Corey told the entire group when they got there,
Yeah.
which was that Shaper wants information on this thing because that's what's going to get us free. I don't think Corey ever told Powder what she found.
Nope.
Nope.
We're free of debt, technically, but
Okay, well,
Is something wrong?
I don't know yet. There's a connection to a project here, which I guess makes sense since I had Aki has some sort of connection to this whole thing. When I say some sort, I actually kind of know what sort, but um, so there is a distinct possibility that they weren't just murdered for smuggling, although that could also be the case. There's a whole thing with the slaves that were there where they were being tested for something. There's a project that that they're involved with called Titania. Um, at the very least, I could take this back to. Ugh, excuse me. I can take this back and correlate with some information I have. I've got an idea. Moving or actually, Aaron, moving around this place, how prevalent did droids seem? Like the space dock and that sort of thing. Because I know obviously there are some planets that are very not
yeah.
necessarily droid friendly. Um,
Um,
there are some where they're much more
well, it
prevalent.
was pre-deserted.
Right.
From the general sense you could get, droids seemed reasonably frequent, which
Okay.
makes a lot of sense on a mining world that might want like cheap
Yeah.
labor that doesn't need to breathe in toxic chemicals.
So, can you guys do me a favor? Do some do some just try and get the temperature of what's going on around here. That's gonna let
Sarcastic
us
remark.
know.
About 37 degrees Fahrenheit. It's
Ha
very
ha
cold in here.
ha 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 ha. So see if you can get any sense of exactly what the general public perception is. How just a sense of of the current situation. Um, if I go out there, it's going to be a certain level of risk. I think you guys can do it and have a lot more success with it.
Sarcastic remark. Because we are droids and no one notices us, yes?
I mean, legitimately, yes. There's no sarcasm there. That's absolutely the reason.
Also, you two are not on quite as many wanted lists.
I mean that too. She's just not going to say that part.
I mean, I'm good at my job is the reason for that one.
I feel like Helix is on wanted lists, but not ones that might be relevant to this situation as much as Lux is.
Yeah, though not very many. The thing about being a bounty hunter is Helix is officially licensed.
True, that as well.
The people I kill,
Technically,
it's legal for me to kill.
Yeah, technically he does his job entirely legally.
Hmm. Still be a little bit careful. Like if it has not been made abundantly clear at this point, this chick is a bit of a loose cannon.
Just as
I'd say she had a screw loose, but I don't think she has many screws left. I think most of them have fallen out completely.
Dripping sarcasm. Really? I could never tell.
That said,
alright.
definitely don't underestimate. There's a reason why, as nutty as she is, she's still a vice admiral. Meanwhile, I have a very awkward conversation to have over communication systems.
Alright. So, we're gonna start with the droid group.
Yes.
You two have been asked, and may or may not choose to do it because it's up to you, to go try and socialize, figure out how people are feeling, what the general social temperature is.
So in that particular case, Helix will sort of step out and just kind of engage full protocol droid mode, like collapse the disruptor rifle, hide it under the coat, like adapt that stupid protocol droid accent that is always vaguely British. And start wandering around, sort of being like a census gatherer, information sort of general gathering information droid.
Okay. Powder, what are you gonna do?
Powder will probably defer to Helix for the most part, and kind of follow him around a little bit to see exactly what is being asked, because this is not something that they have a clue about.
Okay, then we can start with Helix.
Streetwise?
Streetwise will work. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Difficulty too, but with a setback die because you're not necessarily entrenched in any form of the official government, but you're trying to present yourself as a census taker, essentially.
Basically, not necessarily like official government one, but you know,
still,
private
you're not
individuals
part of
who-
any of the existing corporations or establishments or governments here.
I
So
should
there'd be a setback.
I should get like a Zerka Corporation paint job. Do they still exist? I don't think Zerka still exists. Streetwise. Damn it, stupid setback die.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
shit.
that's not a setback die. So you're gonna need to re-roll that.
Oh, okay, never mind. Setback is the black one.
Setbacks are the black ones. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
never mind.
Uh,
Streetwise.
Or you're gonna get to reroll that.
That's
Threats in a
better.
Better.
That is definitively better. So, Helix, you're sort of starting with the broadest questions you can think of, which are mostly like mercantile questions, which make a lot of sense to ask on any sort of mining world. Um, the problem with that is that while people are cooperative and almost overly cooperative, willing to give you whatever information you're looking for, they also sort of act like you are already part of the establishment and that thus do not necessarily need to be informed about what the establishment is doing.
Yeah, because I'm a
That's
droid.
sort of-
Obviously, I belong here. I know everything. I'm a droid.
That's sort of the trick. But the thing that you get out of your triumph is you're sort of inquiring about what someone has managed to sell at their market stall lately. And when you ask about any eggs, person sort of goes rigid and firmly insists, no, we haven't sold any eggs. All of the eggs have gone into the egg collectors. We have done exactly as we need to. Ooh, no eggs are being sold here, sir. And that's weird.
Internal thought process. Why does Aki Taurus want everyone's eggs?
So yeah, Powder, you see Aries.
Ares. Helix Octanos.
Oh.
Mandalorian mercenary murderer. I can't do that voice at all. That was not even close.
I am an HK-53 assassination and protocol droid.
Okay, so you see Helix going around basically asking basic information, census-y questions. What would you like to do? How are you going to approach this problem?
I'd probably do the same thing, but more in the medicine vein.
Any injuries recently? Anyone need
Yeah.
medical attention?
Yeah, that
Alright.
sort of thing.
Wandering medical droid, got it.
Yeah.
Make me a streetwise. Difficulty's gonna be 2, and again with a setback die for.
Okay.
I'm gonna flip a dark side point. Why the hell not? I have a lot of them.
Yes, you do.
Oh, sure.
I
With my 0 ranks, I'm already getting upgraded.
I just remembered I have all of the points, and I haven't been spending them.
All right. Here goes nothing. Literally.
Hmm.
2 failures.
You get really distracted by someone who's just basically quizzing you on. So I have this thing, and it manages to waylay you for about 10 minutes, asking about this like small, mild ailment they have.
Yes.
I've had this cough and this tickle in the back of my throat lately, and it's really irritating.
Am I able to heal them?
Make me a medicine check. Why the hell not? Difficulty, you.
We have just made life better for someone in the galaxy.
Difficulty 1, medicine check. There we go. 2 successes, 2 advantage.
You could, though. Here's the thing: it's a mild cough that they're already over, and they just still have some of that tingling from the cough having been there. So, intervention is not necessarily helpful.
It's like give them a throat coat.
Yeah, Powder will do a series of like acupressure movements
That do nothing but makes them
that
feel
do
better.
absolutely nothing but makes them feel better. Exactly.
All right.
Like you will feel better in 3 days' time.
I mean, give them some advice on how to keep their lungs clear since they live on a mining planet.
Yeah.
Don't worry, this is only a brief flare-up of a disease that is ultimately going to kill you because you work in mines.
Yep.
You have contracted space miner's lung. This is a very mild strain, but it will build until it kills you.
I mean,
Might
this
want to
is
look
not
for new
like
equipment.
that is entirely possible. But in this case, it seems to have genuinely been like a flu or other mild cough. But yeah, you get really distracted with that and unfortunately don't manage to gather much in the way of information.
That's fine.
And we're gonna segue back to
Lux.
Lux.
right, yeah, Lux was talking to the
Yep,
Shaper.
Lux is going
presumably.
back to the ship, unlocking the ship, entering the ship, going to the cockpit, locking the
Ares is
cockpit.
still in his rage coma.
Good. Um.
Privacy shields up, whatever.
Yep.
Calling.
Open, secure, very, very, very secure channel
Yep.
to contact the Shaper.
You have to go through his receptionist
Yep.
again, but eventually you get through. I understand you have some variety of update for me.
Yes, I was not able to deliver the requested merchandise, the requested payment, because your people were not in a position to take it.
Unfortunate. I suspected that when they didn't respond to my mention that you would be in the area to deliver items.
I can certainly deliver these to. There are other systems nearby. I can certainly deliver them there. This will take a little bit of time to do.
Understandable. It was my side of the contact that fell through, so I trust that once you have an opportunity in a timely manner, you'll find your way to some major trade hub or another.
Absolutely.
Where we can deal with this.
Wonderful. You should know just because, well, if I can be frank here, um, you you live on a way station that operates under a certain agreed code. That code, if this person, if these people are traced back to you, may not actually protect you in this case. I don't know
I
how
have
familiar you
many
are.
measures to ensure that,
That's
but
fair. I don't
if
know
my
how.
people,
Sorry, I don't know how familiar you are with Vice Admiral Torres.
that was my suspicion, and to that end, I'm fairly confident I have particular protections, and as Miss Taurus is a regular of Crossroads, she's always obeyed the rules thus far.
Which is fair, but if anybody was going to decide on a whim that the rules no longer needed to apply, it would be her. I mean, you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. The good news and what I can tell you is that unless they had other physical records that were tied that potentially tied you there, um, physical manifests of their shipping. I'm assuming these were not directly your people, right?
Not especially.
Somebody who dealt with several different clients. Um, well, the good news is if some of those people aren't on Crossroads and can be found, you may have some competition winnowed out. But uh, unless they had physical or like any of the shipments that were there for you were could be tied to you, it doesn't look like they got into the computer systems. So you may have a level of protection there in that they may not have made the connection at this point. Um, that said, I don't think it's probably going to surprise you very much that the Vice Admiral is part of, not directly in with what I'm looking for, the what I want this Mandalorian here, but part of my whole reason for being here. And if she had cause to consider these these smugglers traitors to the Empire, is there any reason why you might know that, might suspect that to be the case? There are a lot of smugglers. It feels like it would be more than just that.
How familiar are you with Miss Taurus?
Moderately. We've conversed once, briefly. I
It
know
is
some details.
worth understanding, if you intend to make an enemy of her, that she has peculiar sensibilities.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree.
Her values are very much consistent, however, they are also unusual and fanatical
Yes.
in particular ways. She has more than, to the information I have, she has more than the usual openness to unusual behavior within her ranks,
Mm-hmm.
and and regularly acquire individuals otherwise ostracized by the Empire.
Right.
However, if she deems something like a smuggling ring to be a detriment to Imperial interests, there is no middle ground for her.
Right. So I guess my question, and I realize this may not be something that you want to answer, but I have to ask because I would like to get to the bottom of, well, I'd like to put that bitch in the ground among other things. But and so any lead is a good lead. But like I said, I know you may not want to answer. Was there any business that they did with you that would be that tourists would consider traitorous outside of the standard smuggling things?
Certainly, they observed her. You mentioned that they didn't get into the computers. I can take from that that you did.
Yes.
She has been an area of interest of mine for a long time, and an area of interest for those above me.
Okay. And just to put some cards on the table, any information that you could shine a light on regarding Project Titania would be lovely.
That, I'm afraid, will cost you. What are you prepared to offer in exchange?
All right, so guys, we have 100 frag grenades left. No, I mean they sat on that ship for forever without ever really being used
Yeah,
much.
I'm just happy you're using enough of them to justify the purchase.
Like, well, most of those we did. Yeah,
Cody purchased those.
that's right. They were bought.
Present. Yep.
Well, then they're not Ares'.
I believe they were a Cody rerun
Yes, that's
combo
right.
thing.
Yeah, though it was
Would an addition of would an upping of the quantity in our original agreement have a chance of being an equitable price?
I'll tell you the basics. Though based on those you might decide it's worth for an up. A... Why is he so hard to negotiate in? I really needed to play this character out a little more. For that you can get the basics. Based on those basics, you can decide if you want to offer something else or something
Okay.
of more relevant, pertinent value in
So
exchange.
for the basics, I'm gonna try to keep it down as much. Like I'm trying to give up as little as possible, because at some point it's gonna there. At some point, my warriors are gonna bitch, and
All right. So roll me a negotiation
all
check
right,
to see just difficulty 2 to see how low you can
I'm
get the frag grenade
yep,
price of.
and I am using my influence for this. So.
Bartering in explosives, specifically frag grenades.
Yep. Negotiation.
Funny thing is, you got these from Crossroads. So if he wanted them on Crossroads, he could just go to the marketplace and buy them.
He could.
The way you guys did.
I mean, I kind of half assume that that was his shop.
No. No, that was well, you're not entirely sure, but it is a shop run by Crossroads as an entity. So are those going to be successes for you?
Those will be successes for me. It was a wash except for 2 force points.
Okay. So as you're talking, as you two are talking, Price, you feel little glimmers of the universe around you that you just sort of yank on.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel him open up as though things are slightly more convenient for him now. And you can, for 75 additional frag grenades.
Perfect. I am okay with that. So that will give us, so that'll be 125 that we would end up having left.
Okay.
125 frag grenades.
Oh no. We won't be able to blow up almost anything with only 125.
I feel like this is so. If you've ever played Pokemon, when you're sort of a little ways into the game and you finally have a decent amount of money saved up, and you go and you buy a ton of Pokeballs and a ton of Great Balls that you will never use.
Yep.
Because by the time you use them, you have like Dusk Balls and other things that are actually worth your while.
And so it's. I mean, with 125, we couldn't even put a dent in the Star Destroyer. Come on.
With 368, we couldn't put a dent in a Star Destroyer.
I feel like we could put a dent in with 368, all rigged to explode together.
It would depend on how good your engineer is. Oh wait, they're gone.
So we have Currently, the price and what I owe is 243 frag grenades
Okay. So yeah,
total.
he'll sort of in Project Titania began about 14 years ago, after the Empire's official formation on the Third Empire Day, specifically. To my information, someone in the high end of government started to collect information on potential candidates, lists of which I have since acquired.
Mm-hmm.
Those candidates were tested and vetted through several systems, caught by a various imperial bureaucracy standards, and evaluated. Those that had matched particular requirements of capability, anonymity, and innovativeness were then appropriated from their locations, most of them already under Imperial control, and delivered to a secondary stage where I know what happened.
Okay.
Afterwards, the surviving members were transitioned back to more formal Imperial custody.
Right.
I first became aware of this because at the end of the third stage, there was a bit of an incident involving the surviving members of the project. To my knowledge, Aki Taurus was the only survivor and potentially the perpetrator.
Right.
The Empire wants something specific. It's related to their long-term goals. The Empire rarely talks about what will happen and after its current era has come to an end. The Emperor, his enforcers, his generals, even the Council are held in this state where they always have been and will never change.
Wait, I'm
Those
sorry. Say that again?
According to their messaging, the Empire, his generals, and even the still existing council are held in a state of in perpetuity. They always have been and will never change. That isn't realistic,
Right.
but they always present themselves as
Okay, right.
inevitable or eternal, even while celebrating their anniversaries. But that doesn't mean they don't have plans for what comes next.
Okay.
This is not the only project. There are dozens, potentially hundreds of various plans and contingencies. I know of a few others by codename Inferno, notably.
Okay. Well, that's
That's all
given
you get for a few dozen more frag grenades.
me a lot to think about. I may be in contact later to discuss further terms for more information. One more question. Um,
Yes.
and whether this if this falls into the more information, the greater details category, fair enough. But it is sort of a side question, not specific. Well, we'll see. Do you know where the good vice admiral comes from?
I would hazard a guess. She doesn't know.
That wasn't what I asked. I asked if you knew where she come from.
Of course. But that would cost you.
Of course it would. All right, I had to ask. Um, well, thank you. I will see what I can find out here about your former business partners and perhaps whether it relates to whether there's anything for you to be worried about. And otherwise I may be in touch. It's been fun. And I will hang up.
All right.
And I am going to send an update
Mhm.
with all the new and relevant information. Um, to my contact.
All right. To Fulcrum, I assume?
Yes, to Fulcrum.
Okay. Good to know.
And then I'm gonna go kick something really goddamn hard in the ship.
It occurs to you as you're kicking things that while there totally were 4 sensitive names on that list, it might be worth going back and checking the names on the list that were actually targets of the project.
Yes, no, absolutely. 100%. That is
Okay.
a goal.
Yeah.
But well, somebody doesn't meditate to rebalance themselves.
Yeah. Hey, in your defense, you're not as bad as Kylo Ren.
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't destroy the computer. That would be impractical.
Also, why would you do that to a computer? It's a wonderful thing. It's our friend. So yeah. Um,
Um,
and then I will just wait
Helix?
for the
Right.
others to get back.
Yeah, Helix and Powder. Anything else the two of you want to do while you're out?
So I got that kind of information. Can I get a mining laser while I'm here?
Um, off of what book and to what extent?
Um,
Or just general purpose mining laser, not.
something that I can use for mining accidents, not necessarily a specific weapon.
Oh my
Oh, yeah,
god.
something you can use for mining accidents. Sure, that's well within your budget. You want something ship mounted, vehicle mounted, or handheld?
Something that can be wheeled around, so probably either handheld or like small cart mounted.
All right, yeah, either of those are totally options.
Something that I can use, that won't require a whole lot of setup, basically.
Yeah. You might want Jeds to modify the handholds because they're clearly designed for 5-fingered humanoids, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll grab a handhold and edit it if I need to. I have something that can bore through rock now.
Yep. It's not. The problem is it takes a little while to charge, so it's not feasible as like a weapon of.
Yeah, it's not like a combat
But-
weapon, no.
But you can make it look like an accident.
Yeah. Yes, you
As it
now
turns-
have a mining laser.
As it turns out, if the area supporting something gets sufficiently thinned out by a mining laser, it tends to collapse.
A great thing for Helix to experiment on.
Yep.
like, I'm on a mining planet. What can I use to help murder things? Mining lasers.
I like that that's your priority. Oh my god, this is great. Yeah. So I assume the two of you eventually head back to the ship
Yes.
to report with Lux, who's presumably finished kicking boxes.
Yes. How'd it go?
Well, rather, recitation. There are quite a number of people on this station who are absolutely certain that they are not selling eggs.
Okay.
Note, they got quite defensive, actually, as if the implication that they were selling eggs was somehow an affront to their being, or rather, more specifically, to their safety.
Oh, for God's sakes. Okay, no, that tells me that tells me a good portion of what I need to know. It is a planet that the bitch is ruling by fear because, well, let's be honest, that's probably the best. That's her favorite thing in the world to do. Besides arrange body parts, and she gets to do both here. It's win-win. Okay. Well, that's a thing.
Query. Does Akitoris have any particular hatred for eggs?
Not that you
I'm
know
aware
of.
of. It's just look, when you have somebody whose axis is sort of tilted about 12 degrees to the right, particular things might set you off. Or maybe somebody tried to poison her with eggs on this planet. Maybe somebody when she was maybe 20 years ago when she was a kid, she got sick from eating an egg. Who knows?
Or eggs is a code word for something else.
Or eggs is a code word for something. Absolutely. I'm gonna be honest. It is equally likely that she just hates eggs and slaughtered someone in the street because of it.
Musing. I'm now imagining someone attempting to sell the vice admiral eggs as some delicacy and tasteful food, only to be beaten to death with the butt end of a blaster.
I mean, it was probably somebody not trying to sell it to. She probably just saw someone with an egg stand and was like, "That's it. Get me my laser buzz saw." Just that simple. Or it could be code for something, absolutely. I am not familiar with this system enough to know their smugglers camp. So
It's a
well,
shame your Iridonian isn't here anymore.
right? I mean, so at this point, um, I feel like did anybody give any indication that she's the because she's in control of a couple systems at this point, right?
A couple worlds.
Yeah.
Like she, unlike most vice admirals, is not actually in charge of a region. she has a fleet, but it is people she has acquired from everyone else. It's like, oh, you want to put that person on military tribunal? Can I have them instead? Is most of how she has her own army.
Right.
Um,
Regardless, there is at least a semi decent chance that she is not actually here and is
well, that
on.
was the
That was the information, correct? As potentially erratic as she is, though, should still probably know for sure, and know where she might be because I didn't see a giant imperial like I didn't see walking down the street if there was the traditional Akitoris like Christmas tree made out of people. I didn't see it. So we should find where that is. Sorry. Life Day tree made out of people. It's a thing, it's canon. Not the people out part, the Life Day thing.
I mean,
Holiday special is canon, whatever people may think otherwise.
there is so much Star Wars lore that Christmas and Life Day can both be canon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Christmas happens sometimes. And then people remember that it doesn't necessarily make any sense in the religious context of the Jedi, and then they do it anyway.
So, but anyways, we need to figure out where she is so we know what places to go to and which places to avoid. And I'm not sure which one she is yet.
As a note, all you really know about her government style is that it's weird, unusual, and it
Mhm.
usually involves you guys, the rebellion, losing all contact.
Right.
Uh, you don't actually know if she puts trees full of people up.
No, that was just random embellishment joke. That may be true.
I just didn't remember what I had and hadn't told you already.
Well, that sounds like confirmation to me. That sounds like I guessed correctly.
Or you guessed really, really wrong, and I'm trying not to let on that you were wrong. One of the two.
It's games around games here. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We should definitely find out where she is though. Carefully.
And that is where we're going to end for the night.
All right. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.